We often carry a quiet belief that returning to a place from our youth will somehow return us to the person we used to be. It's a trick of the mind, the idea that a physical coordinate can act as a reset button for the soul. For Ashish, that coordinate is Aminabad, Lucknow. Sharmaji's tea stall is a pocket of the world that refused to change. The wooden bench, the dented kettle, and the thick scent of ginger in the steam. It's a sensory landscape that has remained perfectly intact for decades. But Ashish is no longer a part of that landscape. He sits on the same weathered bench, wearing a sharp suit and an expensive watch, his phone flipped face down and silenced. He looks like a visitor from a different century. He spent 15 years building a life in Dubai, a world of vertical glass and high-velocity capital. The distance between that skyline and this alleyway isn't measured in miles, but in the sheer scale of the person he had to become to survive there. He orders a full tea. It's a small, heavy irony. After a decade and a half of relentless grinding to secure his future, he finally has the resources to sit still and wait for a cup to cool. These places from our past are difficult because they don't change. They stay exactly as they were, acting as a fixed point that reveals precisely how much we have drifted from our original selves. When his old friend Raghav sits down, there is no scripted drama. They don't hug or trade stories of the lost years. They simply sit in a silence that feels heavier than any conversation could ever be. Raghav says he is alive. Ashish says he earns. It is a brutal summary of the two paths they took. One stayed in the rhythm of the city, while the other chased the numbers on a screen. Look at the gap between these two lines. We assume that as our status and earnings climb, our fulfillment will follow. In reality, they move in opposite directions. When ambition finally peaks, the line for a lived life often plummets. Raghav stares into his glass and realizes the flaw in their plan. He sees that being big in the eyes of the world and being right in your own skin are frequently at odds. The tragedy isn't failing to reach your goals. It's reaching them and realizing you've entered a lifestyle where you only know how to accumulate value, having completely forgotten how to exist within it. The light in the alley begins to fail. The deepening shadows make the surroundings feel less like a city and more like a memory. A young boy runs past them, chasing a plastic ball. He is loud, frantic, and entirely present in the moment. This child isn't just a passerby. He is a mirror image of the version of Ashish and Raghav that used to own this corner. He is the person they were before they started measuring their worth by what they could acquire. Raghav watches him go. He points out that when they were that age, they had nothing, yet they were entirely themselves. They weren't performing for a career or a social circle. They were just there. Now Ashish has the suit, the title, and the life in Dubai. But he looks at that boy and realizes that in the process of getting everything he wanted, he has lost the ability to recognize himself. This is the trade. In the rush to secure a modern version of success, the fuel we often burn to keep the engine running is our own sense of self. We reach the destination, but find we've used up the very person who was supposed to enjoy it. Ashish tries to order another round of tea. It's an instinctive move, an attempt to stretch out the evening and stay within the safety of the past for just a few minutes longer. Raghav shakes his head. He knows that nostalgia is a fragile thing. You can visit it, but if you stay too long, the magic disappears. Some moments are only meant to happen once. When they try to pay, Sharmaji refuses. In a world that calculates the cost of everything, this is a rare, purely human exchange. He doesn't want their money. He just wants the satisfaction of seeing old faces back. This is the sharp contrast to Ashish's life in Dubai. Over there, every single interaction is just a transaction. Here, the currency is based on history and shared roots, things that simply cannot be bought or exported. As they leave, Raghav gives him a warning. The city of Lucknow is patient, but it isn't infinite. If you wait too long to reconnect with where you came from, you might find that the foundations have finally crumbled. Adulthood is truly a delicate balancing act. You can spend your life chasing a future that never feels like enough, or mourning a past that is already gone. But if you do either for too long, you let the only thing you actually have, the present, go completely cold.